I've been asked to give some more information about the linkage, so what I thought I would do is make a video here that is sort of an overview of the linkage. And the original design was like this, but then I found out that this needed to be cut back short, and of course the original design was a little more material was on one side than the other. And so I reworked it, and then I came up with this. And one of the key things here is this, of course, threads on a threaded stud on the original design, the way it was designed to work. And we're not threading a stud on here, but what I am doing is creating a ear or a tab that's actually going to go up into the hole. And of course you've seen in the videos where I slotted the ball link here, and this actually fits up in there. And I've written a program that's going to drill this hole. These I simply drilled out by hand, but to make sure that I get them right, I will draw up a file and have the machine cut them for me. But my point here is I went from this, which is what you've seen, and originally I had the little tab. You see the little tab right here, and then I slimmed it down to this. And then the final design was something similar to this. However, I did take it one step further. I have not cut one yet, but I had these little notches in there, and I've decided to do away with the notches and leave this smooth all the way up. Now on this set here, I've took and turned it upside down like this, put the screw in it, tightened it up, and then I've dripped thin CA into the holes. So the thin CA actually builds down in the bottom of this pocket. And I also, one of the other things I did was I roughed this up with some sandpaper, just slightly roughed it up, and that way the CA is going to build in the bottom. And of course I've let it set overnight like that, so obviously the CA is hardened now. The point being that I've reinforced or made this tab larger, if you will, and filled the pocket at the bottom of this. So I don't expect to have any issues with this. I guess we'll find out after testing and lots of use, because I plan on flying the prototype quite a bit to make sure that all of the things that I've designed are working out really well. And I guess that about covers the linkage. Now one other thing is this bearing. It is a press fit in here, but I'm going to recommend that before you push it all the way down, to run a thin bead of CA around the edge on the flange side, because there is a little groove in the bearings. And so what'll happen is you'll get CA in the groove, and then whenever you push this down, then that groove is going to rest in between the bottom edge and the top. So your CA is actually going to grab the edge of this material on the inside. So that should permanently attach the bearing to this plate. And with that, I'm expecting a trouble-free design. The other thing is, I did have on the original design, I had this plate, and what this plate was all about was stiffening the frame. And I've gone back and started trying to cut weight. And so what I did was, instead of using this plate, which did the reinforcing, I actually, because this right here was the area that I wanted to add support to, and by adding a little bit more meat, I was able to take out all of this weight. So that's what I did. So now the frame does not have the this plate on there any longer. The other thing is I have, and by the way, what you've been hearing in the background is the actual mechanism running. And because I am done with it, the only thing that I'm lacking now is I'm reworking my glide locks, and I'll do a video that's going to explain how the glide lock works. But this is the actual new design, and the reason for it is because I want a trouble-free system. I don't want any issues. I don't want any issues now. I don't want any issues down the line. So I'm spending a lot of time to make sure I get every part exactly the way I think that it needs to be. Now, obviously, there may be changes down the line, but I can assure you I'm spending a lot of time to make sure all this is right, because it's a whole lot easier to do it right the first time than it is to try to rush through just to get this thing going. And obviously, I've got the gear mechanism and all worked out, and it's pretty smooth because it is running fairly slow. And actually, we might even be able to slow it down a little more. So you can see that it is pretty smooth, even higher. So I'm really happy with the gear train. Now, there is a shaft, an aluminum shaft in there right now, and I'm actually having a machine shop make this part for me. The one that I'm using I actually made myself, but I just don't have the time to fabricate a part that with the right equipment can be fabricated in very little time. And myself, I'm kind of limited on the machining end of this project. I have the tools, I just don't have them at this location, so I'm better off to go and farm this part out. So what I've done is I've got a machine shop that's building this shaft, and of course this one is aluminum. The one that's in here is aluminum, and what I'm having made is stainless. So the idea is it'll be stronger, and we won't have any problems down the line with regards to the elements attacking it. And I think that's going to be it for this update. So again, the glide lock, I'll do a video on it and how it works, and also you got to see a little bit of what I did to go about lightening the frame. One other thing that I can tell you about is the carbon rod, the shoulders here. I've got a new design on those, and I will try to get a set of those cut and give you a overview on the way they were designed, or why they were designed the way they are, and maybe I can even have them mounted on here so that you can see the finish. One of the things that I did was I did away with, instead of having 4 screws, it only has 2 screws, and also I cut the weight down on those as well.